Hey Dan, how you doing?
Herbert, I'm well, thank you. Great to join you.
How's Virginia treating you?
Yeah, I think it's excellent. We're in Richmond, Virginia, so lots of heritage, incredibly eclectic, and I don't often get to a city. Our racing usually takes us to the outskirts, and so for me, I'm now staying in the heart of it because the race is right here in the center. So it's a brilliant location. It's my second week starting today, so um, I'm very fond of it. But it's actually just drizzled, so might make the trails a little more tacky. Um,
Um, were they were
but it's
pretty dry before, or
It's been it's been quite dusty, but in great condition. I think for us who live on the trails, it's splendid to see a network that's as well managed and maintained as here. It's one thing to build great trail; it's a totally different to maintain them, and that it goes from whoever's the director in charge right the way down to the athlete responsibility, not to go riding when it's just rained, or not to skid in the corner, etc., etc. But however the buy-in is from the whole community, it still needs to be maintained. And this here is a brilliant example, I think, of inner city living with the outdoors, and bringing out the best for the entire community.
yeah, it's and I think people have responded really well to the downtown Richmond events.
Yeah. Apparently, 3 weeks ago, there's a local event, and it was in total maybe a silly number like 40,000 participants across a whole array of different activities. But on any given sunny day on a weekend, the whole Brown Island, I don't know what you would call that area. It's buzzing, and so it's certainly become a very active city, and I think that's probably led to their cycling world champs in 2014. I hope I've got that correct. Um, but they've done well to position themselves as a city and as a biker-friendly city, certainly, but as an active one. And so it's I enjoy seeing that here in the US, and I've just been to Tennessee and before that Alabama, where it was much less so.
Yeah, but talk about your most recent races, Alabama and Nashville. How did they go?
I'll start with a more recent one in Tennessee, in Nashville. It was the first time that we've joined BE Race Series, part
Which
owned
is
by
breakthrough endurance, I guess, right?
Breakthrough Endurance, correct. Partly owned by a friend of mine, Craig Evans, and to be really frank, he was my main motivation for being there. I certainly do like the concept. I do like what they're trying to not so much solve, but offer an alternative. The multi-lap format, and it'll be a trial and error experience for them. I think would have been a big learning curve the first weekend, but exceptional course. And as far as racing goes, especially for us professionals starting on our own, women and men separate, uh, I hope it was a hit. It certainly was for me. And doing 4 laps like that on the bike brings out a whole different dimension um, of technical riding, uh, execution, the importance. Then sort of. So it was a different experience, and the body was great. I was really pleased with my personal performance.
So when you said you were doing a 4 lap bike course, did that mean you were lapping anyone, or
I luckily didn't, but in theory that would be possible. And if you then wanted to follow the world mountain biking circuit rules and regulations, you do it. Whoever you're about to lap would then have to withdraw, or get pulled. It wasn't necessary in our case, but I'd actually started the run as 4 laps as well. So I'd started my second lap, sort of in the throw of the field. So, but even that was different and fun. Running with others you usually wouldn't. Different concept. But anyway, so that was last weekend, and nice to see someone embracing the off-road triathlon genre. I think ITU are dabbling, but not really putting their back into it. And I love the concept. So it'd be great to have more racing. It'd be great to have more focus on high performance racing. And if it can balance the age group contingent and what they get out of an off-road experience, then all the better. So I hope they can balance those two and tick those boxes. And the weekend before was in Alabama, the second of the US XTERRA series. I missed the first one in Vegas, so Vegas 2012 2012 was the last time I raced on US soil, so it was a long while. It was great to be back. It was great to be back on the circuit. I've done some racing in South Africa and in Asia this year, but somehow through the accident last year, it's been a long while. So it was great to be there. It was a positive day. I think Josiah Maddow is going phenomenally well, and he's sort of being the best runner, or had already won the race on the bike. So
Talking about your injury, how is that going? Have you completely recovered, or?
I've certainly recovered. I wish I could complain or deliver some excuse, but it's great. Thank you for asking. It was a long process to get back and to feel balanced, but I think any unsymmetrical strength discrepancy now is something I would have had beforehand, favoring breathing to the right or whatever it may be. So there's always little detail I could iron out, but the plate is here to stay. So I don't know, plate and 12 screws. But other than the scar, so that was the collarbone. The back, the spine took a little longer just to calm down because we couldn't have any surgeries.
So how long were you out totally? I mean, like really out? Were you really do any racing and any serious training?
Come to look at the date here, 3rd of June. So I think I crashed 2nd of June, if I have it correctly. And just by the time I was in full training, let's say late August, September, to find form and make sense of traveling again just wasn't on the cards. So I could have looked at probably a November, December race already, and my racing in South Africa started in January. So I ended up just doing more groundwork through base and then started in January, and that afforded me a trip to the Asia Pacific and 3 XTERRAs there in March, when usually I would have felt that's training time.
Right.
So having started the base a little earlier, there was sort of an upside to that, and so all of that to say there was a long block of no racing, but I was probably physically capable to have started before I did.
Talk about racing. You still mostly do off-road triathlons. Is seeing that Conrad has been venturing more heavily on the on-road side. Is that something that has tickled you at all, or is that?
No, but certainly, I mean, last year the crash was on the TT bike, ironically, on a very straight road, 2 days before Mooseman. So I'm certainly intrigued. I think as much as I love XTERRA, I think change is good. I think variety is good, just even from a personal life philosophy. So I have dabbled and I've had marginal success, and therefore it feels like unfinished business. I've spent a lot more time in the TT position than my output has showed, and certainly my time in Boulder has made that scene come alive. There it's a lot easier being down in the bars if the whole group is.
Right.
And the thinking, the philosophy, the straight road riding, if that's the way of life, it's sort of easier to get drawn in. To answer your question, so the last 2-3 years I've maybe done 5 or so half Ironman races without success, but they were interesting learning curves, somewhat good experience. But I'm just in an emotional space where I wanted to find my feet this year. If I just stick to the off-road side, I can certainly race more, handle more load, handle more travel, and having felt a bit caged last year, I'm trying to be honest and respectful to myself in where I'm at. So,
but do you think that your crash maybe also threw your curveball, as in maybe not frightened you to come back, but maybe something, maybe that's not for me, maybe I need to stay off-road?
It certainly hasn't frightened me away from on-road stuff, but what it did do, however momentarily, there was the thought process of, sure, this might be the end, and if not the end, at some point there will be an end. And so that was a really real reality check, and without going too deep and soppy on you, it's I have an opportunity as an athlete to travel to some incredible destinations, to make sense of doing so, and if I haven't exploited some of those, I would probably feel regretful. I think it's my personality and character, and so this year has been an extension of that. I've already traveled more than I have in recent years. I'm going down to Brazil in 2 weeks' time. I'll go to Mexico in August, and the one that I'm most excited about is going to Japan in at the very end of August.
Wow,
It's just
so
something I desperately want to do. It doesn't really doesn't fit into the periodization, but it's
you should
so.
have lots of freaking flyer miles accumulated by the end of all that.
Hopefully, not much of fatigue accumulation, but yeah.
So, is all well with sponsors?
They have been incredibly gracious through the whole process. It was certainly a down year for everybody involved. My portfolio in South Africa remains incredibly strong, vibrant, and for that reason, I'm home in July for a festival. And that together with Specialized, who are the backbone of what I do, I'm still in a great space in that sense. So I'm very, very grateful. Back home things are thriving, and it's just timing. I don't think I'm necessarily responsible for any of the success there, but it's just sort of riding the wave and being a part of the movement. A few really key business individuals who are making things happen back home.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we wish you really good luck this weekend in Richmond, and hopefully we get to see you sometime soon.
Thank you. Fingers crossed. Thanks for checking in.